Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Non-Scripted Ramblings, and today we are going to be starting phase 3 of the MCU, talking about Captain America Civil War, the next movie on my countdown to Avengers Infinity War. So I'm really excited to talk about this one because it is my, before Ragnarok happened, it was my second favorite Marvel movie. And then Ragnarok happened and it's the third favorite. But it's just, it's going to be a long video. I love this movie so much. It's so wonderful. So, trailer was very, very good. Enjoyed it quite a bit. Obviously, there's the reveal of SpiderMan in the movie. Which it's interesting that they would keep him out of they still kept him out of the shot of him running towards everybody when they were, fighting in the airport. But yeah, and then then they just have the reveal after the title card comes up. They have him, under oath and taking the shield and saying hi and stuff. It's cool, but I still feel, and I think a lot of us feel, that it would have been a lot better if it had been done in the movie instead of, because we already knew Spider-Man was going to be in the movie, but it would have been so much better if they'd just gone, let's leave it, and let's because we're already in, we were already going to see this movie. That that increased the hype significantly, of course, but people were already going to go, so I don't know, would have been super cool. They've done a really good job otherwise of keeping twists and things hidden from the public before the movie. But anyway, it's alright, it's fine. It's a good trailer. But there's a lot of dialogue in there that's different or not in the film. There's a bit where, when Cap in the movie is trying to get Bucky out because they're coming for him, he says this doesn't have to end in a fight, Buck. But in the trailer, they've edited it. This doesn't have to end in a fight, Tony. And then Tony's like, you just started a war, and it's not in the movie. They misdirected her. Cutting room floor stuff, I guess, as well. But that's okay. But yeah, super cool trailer. Super cool. I remember the internet losing its shit over it because here we were seeing our heroes, our Marvel heroes, fighting against each other, and we didn't fully, we knew why, but it was still quite shocking to see it happen. So let's just dive into the movie, shall we? Got a lot to talk about. So the movie starts with another flashback, just as Ant-Man did, this time to 1991, with the Winter Soldier being sent out to, kill a certain 2 people that we find out later in the movie, but we know who they are, and take some serum, which is the Winter Soldier serum. Really interesting opening intrigue, and then we get the big epic scene of I guess the Avengers, really, or the less heavy hitters, but we have Cap, we have Black Widow, Falcon, and Scarlet Witch all trying to stop Rumlow, also known as Crossbones. He was from Winter Soldier, if you would remember him from that, So he's another Hydra, element of Hydra, still out and about, doing their thing. So they're still obviously trying to stop that and stop him. And they do, but then a lot of people die, and it's pretty awful, and it kind of jogs the world into action. Or it's like the final straw, the straw that broke the camel's back, really. Because then after that we get one of the most powerful, other scenes in the movie is just our introduction to Tony Stark in this film. And he's giving the speech at MIT, but he's also showing off some tech that he's made that shows him dealing with the loss of his parents, And we get to see RDJ de-aged using that same technology they used to de-age Michael Douglas, and it's improved again, and it's so cool, and it looks really amazing. They do it so well. But it's, you know, it's so sad because that's his memory of, like an altered version of his memory of the last time he spoke with his parents. And then, you know, and then we find out that him and Pepper aren't together anymore, taking a break, and that's emotional. And then on top of that one, we get the scene of with Alfre Woodard in the hallway outside the elevator. She confronts Tony about how she feels they are responsible for the loss of her son, who was in Sokovia at the time of Ultron, and he died. But it's so powerful how what the things she says and the way she does it, and you can tell Tony is still struggling with the PTSD, with the like he's not comfortable still, because, you know, she reaches for her purse and he's like, she's going for a gun, and then, you know, he's just like, sorry, occupational hazard. But yeah, interesting too though, because this is the second character, well, the first character, but one of two that Alfre Woodard plays in the MCU, because she's also Mariah Dillard in Luke Cage. So when I found out she was going to be Luke Cage, I'm like, oh, she'll be playing the same character from Civil War, and then it was no, different character altogether. So that's interesting. But yeah, really powerful stuff, and that sets Tony off on his journey throughout this film, his story, because this movie does such a great job of just advancing all of these characters and their own stories and building upon where they've come from and where they are and then where they're going, and it's just so good. And so that starts here with Tony, and it's wonderful. And then, you know, we get General Ross coming over, bringing the Accords, the Sokovia Accords, which state that the Avengers will, no longer operate without oversight, because of all of the events that have taken place that have resulted in mass loss of life, and they've been involved every time. I get why the Sokovia Accords would be a thing, but I don't understand, because like General Ross starts his argument with, like, you know, you've saved us, the world owes the Avengers an unpayable debt. Yeah, you do. So why are you trying to step in and then take how can you control these people? Because they're so much more powered than you. Yes, they fight on the right side, but I feel it's misplaced, his intentions with the Accords. I totally understand why, because, you know, after what happened in Nigeria, when all these people were killed because of Wanda, you know, not being able to control the explosion that Rumlow set off, might I have you know, and Cap, you know, tried to, you know, well, no, Wanda saved Cap from dying, but yeah, and then it all went horribly wrong. But yeah, so it's pretty powerful stuff what Ross brings to the table. We see footage from the Avengers, from Sokovia, from Nigeria, from Winter Soldier with Washington as well, like all the fallout of everything that they've been involved in and done. And might I just quickly say, this is how you deal with consequences in superhero movies. I'm not, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say, but you know who I'm talking about. They came out in the same year. Anyway, so yeah, so that whole scene is incredibly powerful, and then we get the Avengers powwowing it, discussing it, who's on whose side, and everyone puts their argument forth, and you totally understand where everyone's coming from. It all makes sense. It's lovely what they do, and Cap's like, well, you know, the safest hands are still our own. You know, if we take away the right to if we surrender our right to choose, you know, who's to say more people won't die? You know, and I love that, and just because of all everything from Winter Soldier and everything from Avengers, just of Cap just not being able to trust these government organizations, is just those circumstances are totally affecting his mindset here, and you understand exactly what he says and what he means, and it's true to his character. It doesn't break character at all, and it's just, yeah, it's beautiful. And then Tony, on the other hand, he's just like, you know, here's Charles Spencer. We killed him in Sokovia. You know, Ultron was my fault, but still, you know, we need to be put in check. If we don't have any boundaries, we're no better than the bad guys. So, you know, so he's just like, I need to be held accountable for my actions. He's being incredibly self-deprecating, but also, you know, still Tony Stark. Like, he's still on a high horse, but he's just, he knows, he's like, okay, this is how we solve my mistakes. This is how I make amends for the guilt for causing Ultron. This is how I deal with that and my PTSD and everything. And then so, you know, and then you understand where everyone's coming from. You know, obviously Rhodey's got Tony's back, Sam's got Cap's back. Out of character a little bit, Natasha is like, I side with Tony. I think we should be monitored, but I say it's out of character, and I kind of think it is, because then they're straight away, they're like, well, Sam's like, well, weren't you the woman who told the government to like shove it a couple of years back? And he makes a good point. And then she's like, well, you know, we need to win the public's trust back. And that, as she says that, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense, because she's got red in her ledger. She wants to wipe it out. She wants a better image. She wants people to understand she's not a monster. She wants people to understand that she's a good person and she fights on the right side. And so if this is the way to do it, you know, as she says, if this is the path of least resistance, doesn't mean it's the wrong one. So, you know, if we've got one hand on the car, on the wheel, we can still steer, you know. So kind of understanding her a bit better through, you know, kind of her, I guess, quickly explaining why she's decided to sign the Accords. But then, of course, the conversation's interrupted with the news that Peggy has passed away. And that's pretty sad, seeing Steve carry her casket through the church. So heartbreaking, you know, really, really tough. And yeah, I mean, it had to happen eventually. They were, you know, they had her old and kind of struggling with, you know, what seemed to be kind of dementia, I guess, in Winter Soldier. So in this movie, it kind of made sense that she would, you know, she'd unfortunately, you know, lose her fight. And then we find out that Agent 13 is Sharon Carter, her great niece, which is interesting. And I get why. Totally, she's like, I never told anyone we were related, because it was a hell of a thing to live up to. Like, how am I going to rise through the ranks of S.H.I.E.L.D. if, you know, people are just going to be expecting me to be Peggy and comparing me? So, makes sense. It's interesting. Makes sense, though. And then, of course, we get our introduction. We've had our introduction, probably at this point, to our villain, Baron Zemo, or Helmut Zemo, as he's referred to in this movie. And then I'm trying to think, where's my train of thought? Yeah, the UN. We're at the UN, and we get to meet T'Challa and T'Chaka in the flesh for the first time, the Wakandan royalty, and then Zemo, disguised as Bucky, blows up the UN, T'Chaka dies, and T'Challa is out for vengeance for his father and for his country. And he's, you know, not going to stop until he brings Barnes in, or, you know, kills him, really. He doesn't really care at this point. And so, and then directly after that, we just go straight into the action. Cap goes for Bucky, tries to get Bucky out. He won't go, and then, you know, the German forces come for him, and then there's a beautiful epic fight that goes for about 10-15 minutes, and it's just this big chase, and it's beautifully choreographed and staged, and then, you know, Black Panther gets introduced. We finally get to see T'Challa in the suit fighting and everything, and it's so cool. And then the chase in the cars through the tunnel is wicked when Bucky grabs the bike and does that cool like flip thing, like it turns around. It's so badass. There's nothing to hate about this scene. It's just, it's fantastic. It's a wonderful action set piece in this movie. One of the best ones. There's a lot of good ones in this one, and it's definitely a highlight. Okay, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, T'Challa just, you know, pulls a Tony Stark, doesn't hesitate, reveals himself, takes off his helmet. And then we get the first example of the Accords in action, even though they technically haven't been ratified yet because of the explosion, but War Machine's there, and and he's just like, congratulations, Cap, you're a criminal. Yeah, he's, that's what the Avengers are being, that's the example of the Avengers being sent in to do something that the UN wants them to do, Rhodey getting there to apprehend them, because, Steve was not supposed to interfere, but he knew straight away that Bucky, wouldn't have done this, and he's not going to let anything happen to his best friend. So then we get introduced to Martin Freeman's Everett Ross, who is, I think, supposed to be General / Secretary of State Ross, his son, I think. But they don't even have a scene together. But they're related. They're either, or unless they're brothers, I don't know. I feel like Martin Freeman's too old to be William Hurt's son, but I could be very wrong. I should have looked that up before I started. Oh well, it's fine. They're related anyway. That's the important part. So, and then after we meet him, then we get a really great scene, a bit of dialogue between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. And they're both, again, trying to explain to each other where they're coming from. And we find out, Tony finally mentions the whole, he mentions I had Pepper fixed, she nearly died, I had her fixed, and then I destroyed all my suits. But then he says, the truth is I don't want to stop. I thought I could make the Accords, the Accords would split the difference, as in, like, he wants to be with Pepper, but he can't stop being Iron Man. And she's struggling with him being Iron Man, clearly, still. So he thought that, if he was working for the government and not being so of his own ego and of his own accord, for lack of a better term, that, she would be more accepting of it and he could have it both ways. But, they took a break anyway. But yeah, there's the first kind of mention of the suits, because, it didn't really get touched on at all in Age of Ultron, but then in Civil War it gets brought up, which is very good. And then, and then I like the line where Tony's like, I'm doing what needs to be done to save off something worse. And then Steve says, you keep telling yourself that. Which is, a nice little callback, of course, to Age of Ultron as well. When he tried to, use Ultron to save the world, ended up, nearly destroying it. So it's very well written. So, okay, let's keep going through. Okay, we find out that Bucky's not the only Winter Soldier, and that things are a bit intense, a bit serious, and we think that Zemo's plan is to unleash the rest of the Winter Soldiers, the other soldiers that had the serum and were experimented on and were Hydra agents. So that was scary. I remember watching that for the first time in the cinema and going, wow, okay, this is going to be an intense final fight. What's going to happen? Then we get the introduction of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Tom Holland. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Best Spider-Man, favourite Spider-Man, hands down. No one comes close. I'm sorry, I don't care what you think. You're allowed to have your opinion about Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, but Tom Holland is the perfect Peter Parker and the perfect Spider-Man. He plays both to a T, and it's wonderful. He's so lovely. Very, very cool. I really adore the scene of him and Tony in his bedroom, and he's trying to explain to him what, how did he, because Tony's like, what's your MO? Why do you fight? What are you doing? And then he says, when you have these abilities, and you can't not do anything, but then, and then the bad things happen, they happen because of you, and that's gotta be a reference to Uncle Ben, but, they haven't officially said that, but I feel like it's obvious that's what it is, because, we know the Uncle Ben story, but they didn't touch on it in the movie. They didn't need to, because we know the origin. We know the origin, that's right. So Marvel movies know what they're doing. I'm not salty at all. Anyway, but the line, bad things happen because of you when you have these, abilities, is just such a nice little analogy for Tony. Because I feel like that's how Tony's like, okay, I get you, kid. You can come fight with us because, you're trying to, you've done something bad has happened because of what you can do, and I've done the same thing. And I just, yeah, so I really like that they've been related like that. It's very, very good. Okay, so then because we meet Spider-Man because everyone's trying to round up, their respective teams, Team Cap and Team Iron Man. I was infamously Team Stony, as I called it, because I couldn't pick a side, didn't want to pick. I was not going to pick, because I could see where they were both coming from, and couldn't make up my mind. Sorry, guys. Team Stony forever. So, yeah, Steve gets Clint to come out of retirement temporarily to go get Wanda from the Avengers compound. Vision's been watching her. And I like the fact that she's like, I can't go out there. I'm going to get people killed. And then Clint just kind of rehashing his speech from Age of Ultron. He just says to her, if you want to make amends, get off your ass. Like an abridged version of like, come on, we've been through this, Wanda. You know what you need to do. You're better than this. Come on. And then they get out. And that's wonderful. And just before we get to my favorite part of this video and of the movie, there is a wonderful scene with Steve and Sharon. I don't know how I feel about it. I've thought long and hard about it for a few years. If I approve of Steve and Sharon being a thing, I think I'm okay with it now. At the time, I was like, I don't know, this seems a bit weird. But I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, who else is Steve Rogers going to be connected to? And I think it kind of makes sense that it would be one of Peggy's relatives. But at the same time, it's kind of weird because it's like, well, she could have been his granddaughter, or or grandniece or whatever. Like he could have been great uncle Steve. So that's where the weirdness kind of comes in. So it's a little, yeah, sure. I'll just whistle past it a bit. It's not the end of the world. But the best thing about that scene is that we get the excellent combination of Sam and Bucky in the VW Beetle, and Sam won't move his seat forward, and it's so funny. And then the look on their face when Cap looks at them after he kisses Sharon, and they're just like, yeah. It's hysterical. I love it. Okay, so let's get to the best part of this whole movie before I run out of time. The airport battle. Oh, still my favorite bit of any movie, I think. Maybe save for the immigrant song on the Bifrost in Thor Ragnarok. It might be slightly better. Only slightly, very tiny slightly. But this is just, thank you, Russo brothers, for giving us this incredible piece of cinema. It's a dream come true. I can't even with it. It's 17 minutes long as well. Like, it's not even over in a second. It's 17 minutes of dialogue, of fighting, of friends fighting each other, and hilarity and drama and tension and action and blah. It's everything that makes these movies so great in this scene. That's it. If you want to show someone who doesn't like Marvel, it's like, well, have you seen this? And if they go like, no, show them this airport battle, and I think you'll have them, because it's just gold. Oh God. And I love Scott Lang in this movie because he is us as well. His reaction to Captain America is us, and it's so great. Like the whole "thanks for thanking" of me, and the shaking of the hand too long, and the touching of the pecs is just Paul Rudd, excellent job. And then the fight. Oh my God, I remember nearly crying. I was so happy watching this in the cinema. Where do I even start? I love the whole little bit of banter between Cap and Spider-Man. He's like, where are you from? And you got heart, kid? Yeah, you got heart, kid. Where are you from? And he's like, Queens. And then Steve's like, Brooklyn. That's awesome. But my favorite part of the entire thing has to be when when Scott goes giant man, and it's just huge and it's amazing, and then Rhodey's like, tiny guy's big now, like, what's happening? And then Tony's like, yeah, and if any of you are not disclosing any certain abilities that may win us this fight, please feel free to let me know, because we kind of need you. But the cream on the icing, the creme de la creme of the scene is when Spidey's like, hey, you guys remember that really old movie, Empire Strikes Back? And then Rhodey's like, Jesus, where did you find this kid? How old is he? He's like, I don't know, I didn't carbon date him. He's a bit on the young side. And then it's like, you know the part with the giant walkers, and they go through the legs, and then he does it, and I was just like, I specifically remember, God, I can't talk, I'm so excited. I specifically remember watching this and then turning to my friends at the time and just going, what the hell are we watching? What is this movie? I couldn't at the time. I just wanted to like scream out. I'm like, what? Oh my God. I couldn't. Like a Star Wars reference in a Marvel movie, in like the best scene in any Marvel movie so far up to this point. It was just, oh my God. I love everything about this airport battle. So I don't think I want to say too much more, because I'll just be talking about the airport battle for the rest of it, and we've still got a lot of stuff to talk about, but bow down to the Russos, just thank you for that. So right when it's finishing and it's wrapping up, that's when things get a bit more serious. Natasha switches sides. She lets Cap and Bucky get away to go after Zemo, which, is totally in line with her character. It makes sense. And then the end of the battle, they get away in the Quinjet, and Rhodey and Tony are chasing them, and then Falcon's behind them, and then Vision, aims for Falcon dodges it, and then his blast hits Rhodey right in the chest and sends him down to the ground. And we'd seen the shot in the trailer of Rhodey fall into the ground, and he looked dead. I think most of us knew that he wouldn't be dead, because why would they put that in the trailer? But still, it was so intense. And then the thud with which he hit the ground, was just so... Oh, and then Tony calling out, Rhodes, like, oh God, it's so intense. And the way he blasts Falcon afterwards, he's like, I'm sorry, and he just blasts him. He's like, I don't give a crap. You shot down my friend. You got my friend shot down, and he didn't die, but he's just paralyzed for now. Of course, we see him flying about in the Infinity War trailers, but we don't know to what extent he can or cannot walk now. But we'll find out. So Tony finds out the truth about Zemo, that he's Sokovian. His family was killed in Sokovia. Well, we find out that later on, but if we find out, that Bucky wasn't responsible for the UN bombing, obviously. So he then goes to he finds out from Falcon where they are, and then he flies off to Siberia. So he can help Cap stop Zemo from unleashing what they think the Winter Soldiers, but instead he unleashes a whole different, worse kind of thing on them. This is probably the emotional pinnacle of all of these movies. And Zemo, we're repeating another beat of trying to tear the Avengers apart from the inside, make them fight each other. But this is the one time it's done successfully, and it's just incredible. We find out that Bucky killed Howard and Maria Stark back in 1991. That was Mission Report, December 16, 1991. And just Tony's reaction, it's just so heartbreaking. And then the fact that Steve knew, because he had the file on Bucky from the end of Winter Soldier, it would have been in the file. So it's just devastating. And then just the ensuing fight is just like I don't really have the words for it. It's just, like they're going for the kill now. Like Tony's going for the kill. He doesn't care. Like before they were holding back. Like they were just trying to subdue each other. Now they're trying to kill each other. Now this is serious. And it's just so intense. And then Zemo, you know, disappears into the shadows, and T'Challa's there because he followed them to Siberia to, you know, to kill Bucky. But then he finds out that Zemo is behind it, and then he decides, I'm not going to let vengeance consume me because it's consumed you for you know, the Avengers being responsible for your family's death, and it's consuming them because of what Bucky did as Winter Soldier, not as Bucky. So he's not gonna let Zemo kill himself. And then we get just the most epic fight, and just the lines that, like, you know, like Cap's pleading with Tony to stop, and he's like, I don't care. He killed my mum, and it just doesn't get more personal than that. And it's beyond incredible. And then we get the iconic recreation of the comic book image of Tony blasting Cap's shield. And just they recreated it so perfectly. It's wonderful. And then, you know, and then they come to another point in the fight where, you know, well, Tony blasts off Winter Soldier's arm, so Bucky's arm, metal arm's gone. And then, but then, you know, Cap's not done, and then Tony's like, stay down, final warning, and then Cap's like, I can't let you do this, Tony, he's my friend. And then Tony's like, so was I. You know, was being the key word there, and Cap's just like, well, yeah, I can do this all day. And then they fight, and they keep fighting, and then to the point where, like, they're just thrashing at each other, and then Tony's mask comes off, and then Cap's got the shield, and he's just going hammer and tongs at him. And it's just, I remember watching that, and just, I think I had tears in my eyes the whole time, because I was just like, oh my god, is he gonna kill him? Like, what's gonna happen? I had no idea. We had no idea what was gonna happen. And yeah, and then he destroyed the arc reactor in the suit, depowering the suit, and then just kind of realized, Jesus, I nearly just killed him. I could have killed him. And then they kind of just stop. And then he gets out. He takes the shield out of Tony, gets up, drags Bucky. They start to walk away because Tony's powerless now. The suit's dead. Nothing's going to happen. And then, God, and then Tony's just like, you don't deserve that shield. My father made that shield. And Cap, without hesitation, drops it. And he's done. No more Captain America. He can't be Captain America anymore. He's like, no, like straight away, he's just like, he wouldn't change a thing, but he knows that he's now gone to a place he can't really come back from. And that's not, he can't be Captain America, especially not if, he doesn't, the shield was made by Howard Stark, and it's just, and then just after what happened, it's just, it's just so emotionally powerful and metaphorical, and just, yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about the Stan Lee cameo. Oh god, it's so intense. Stan Lee cameo, fantastic. Tony's helping Rhodey recover, and then he's a FedEx delivery guy. He rocks up and he's like, I got a delivery for Tony Stank. Yeah, that's all a cameo needs to be. Perfect. One-liner, done. Excellent. Tony Stank, amazing. And then, yeah, we get the letter from Steve to Tony. This essentially apologizing for what's happened, but like saying that, I'm not going to stop. I'm still going to fight for the side of good, and I'll be here when you need me. And he rescues the guy, the rest of, his team from the raft prison. And yeah, and then, we have end credits, and then there's a phone that was in the package as well. So it's like, well, that's how Tony can contact Cap if he ever needs him, which, considering what we're about to watch soon, he will need him. Okay, mid-credits scene, we get our first ever scene in Wakanda. Bucky's decided to go under the ice. He's like, I can't control my mind. I need to go under the ice until they fix what's wrong with my brain and get the Hydra crap out. So yeah, so that's really powerful. And then T'Challa's just, you know, he's on Cap's side now. Cap's like, thanks so much for doing this. And he's like, well, your friend and my father were both victims, you know, of this man and of Hydra, essentially. So he's, you know, he's willing to do what it takes to, you know, make amends for trying to kill him and all of that. He's a really noble man. And Cap's like, well, you know, what if people come? And he's like, let them try. And then we get the image of the Panther over Wakanda, and it's, yes, Wakanda forever. So good. Okay. And then the post-credit scene, Spider-Man, little quick snapshot of Spider-Man with his new gadget and big smiles on his face. And then we get the credit, Spider-Man will return. Super awesome. So that's my Civil War video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. That was a bit of a journey. I knew it was going to be a long one, not as long as Age of Ultron, but almost there. So thank you for sticking with me. I truly appreciate it. Every one of you that's watched these videos, thank you so much. So next time when we come back, we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange as we move through Phase 3 and continue the countdown to Avengers Infinity War. So thank you. I've been a Kendall Richardson, and you've just experienced non-scripted ramblings.